the 70-year-old marathon runner. The crowd cheered as the runners lined up at the starting line of the New York City Marathon. Among the sea of young, muscular athletes stood a man with silver hair, wrinkled skin, and eyes that shone with quiet determination. Arthur Bennett, 70 years old, wearing an old pair of running shoes and a smile that could melt mountains. Most people assumed he was there to support someone, maybe his grandson or a friend. But when Arthur tightened his laces and moved to his lane, the whispers began. Is he really running? Someone murmured. He won't make it past a few miles, another said with a chuckle. But Arthur didn't hear them, or maybe he chose not to. He had learned long ago that people's doubts were just noise. Arthur had started running late in life. At 55, he was overweight, tired, and constantly out of breath. Years of working a desk job and eating fast food had taken their toll. When his doctor told him he was at risk of heart disease, Arthur felt something shift inside him. That evening, as he sat alone watching the sunset, he whispered to himself, "I'm not done yet." The next morning, he put on an old pair of sneakers and went for a run. He barely made it 2 blocks before collapsing on the curb, gasping for air. But even through the burning in his chest, he smiled. Because for the first time in years, he was fighting back. Day after day, he ran a little farther. A few blocks turned into a mile. A mile became 3. He changed his diet, started sleeping early, and slowly, his body began to transform. At 60, he ran his first 5K race. He came in last, but as he crossed the finish line, tears rolled down his cheeks. Not because he had lost, but because he had finished. Over the next decade, Arthur became a familiar face at local races. People called him the Silver Streak. He wasn't fast, but he was unstoppable. He ran through rain, snow, and summer heat. Then, when he turned 70, he made a bold decision to run a full marathon. "Arthur, that's 26 miles, his daughter said in shock. He smiled gently. "It's just one step at a time, repeated a few thousand times." Now, standing at the marathon starting line, he felt a mix of nerves and peace. The gun went off, and thousands of feet thundered against the pavement. Arthur started slow, his steady rhythm guided by years of discipline. At mile 10, fatigue crept in. Younger runners zoomed past, and his legs began to ache. A volunteer offered him water and said kindly, "You can stop if you need to, sir." Arthur smiled. "Son, I didn't come this far to stop." He pressed on. Memories flooded his mind. His first failed run, the doctor's warnings, his daughter's laughter when he showed her his first medal. All of it fueled him. At mile 20, the pain was intense. His knees screamed, his lungs burned, but deep inside, a voice whispered, "Keep going." And he did. When he finally turned the last corner, the finish line glowed in the distance. The crowd roared. Someone shouted, "Look, the old man's still running!" Tears filled his eyes. Each step felt like fire, but he smiled through the pain. He raised his arms and crossed the finish line, not fast, not first, but victorious. Later, reporters surrounded him. "Arthur, how did you do it at your age?" one asked. He chuckled softly and said, "Age isn't a wall. It's just a number on your race bib. The real race is in your heart." That night, Arthur sat quietly with his medal around his neck. He looked up at the stars and whispered, "I told you, old friend, I wasn't done yet." Moral of the story: it's never too late to begin again. The body may age, but the spirit never has to. Determination, discipline, and belief can turn even the smallest step into a triumph. No matter your age, your dream, or your challenge, Remember Arthur Bennett, the 70-year-old marathon runner who proved that the human spirit has no finish line.